Hey guys, this is our first commentary track for Chamber 10. I'm Tyler.
I'm Kyle.
This is Kyle. I am the writer, director, a lot of hats on this movie. I'm not going to go down them all because I'm going to sound like an egotistical maniac. But Kyle helped a lot too. Yeah, you did. You did it.
We all pitched in.
Yeah, here and
We all
there.
pitched in, but this is Tyler's feature film.
Yeah. This was something that I wanted to do for a while. And it's just like, it's been a long time coming. Like, I've wanted to make movies since I was little. And this was actually like the first project that we did together.
Yeah, because
yeah.
it started off because
Yeah.
I saw footage on your Snapchat story of the tunnel scene
Yeah.
in like pre-production when it was still just a short. In your head, it was still a short. And I saw those pictures, and that was right around the time that I had gotten my drone. I remember hitting you up, and I was like, "Hey, could you use a drone for any of this?"
Right, yeah, and I actually, hold on, one sec. Yeah, I was like, this was like in like, what, 2020? This was like June of 2020 when we first started doing this.
Yeah.
Shout out to my buddies, Kylie and Sam. They actually knew about the tunnel. That was like, we were looking for spooky things to do, spooky ideas. And like the first, like this whole fake out sequence right here, spoilers if you haven't watched the whole, like you should probably watch the movie before you listen to this. So just so you know, if you haven't seen the movie, it's probably in the description right now. So just go down there and the link will be right there to watch the full thing. So basically the first like full Chloe opening scene here, that was like the original idea for the short. That was the whole thing, was just girl crying on campus, runs from a scary thing, it gets her at the end. Like that was the whole thing. And yeah, originally my friends, shout out to Kylie Fox, Sam Aldia, they led me to this place. That's how I found the tunnel. It was at this trail in the Kalamazoo area. And we just kind of went out there, and I had gotten my first camera, and we just shot some stuff. And it was like, yeah, this is something that I want to test out. And it just kind of developed from there. Like Kylie was originally going to be the star. Actually, there's footage of alternate takes of this opening, you know, some shots here and there of her doing some of the same things that Chloe does. But as the idea kind of got bigger over time, we realized that she wasn't going to be able to do it. So I reached out to Chloe, who's another friend of mine. She's not usually an actor, so this was her first acting thing ever, you know. So at first it was just like, I'm just going to look through my friends and see, you know, what happens. Because this was like Kyle and I, we got together and we were like, we should make like a whole like initiative out of this. We should make like a whole little production studio.
Right.
And this was the first thing we started working on before anything else, even Paranormal Archives, which came out like a year and a half ago at this point.
Yeah, that came out very soon after we like started doing Chamber 10-esque type stuff.
Yeah.
Because we shot that. That was only like 2 months to.
Yeah, that was
total.
Yeah, from planning stages to actually filming.
Yeah, and that was only 30 minutes, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was being shot during that time as well.
Yeah.
So
all the way back then. Some of this stuff was before that, I think. I think this was before that, probably. Which is crazy because we, like, the majority of filming was like for this whole thing was like late 2020, like pretty much before Christmas of 2020.
Yep.
And like various other scenes were shot up until March of 2022. So like
you can see it in the differences in my hair.
Especially Kyle's hair. And my hair a little bit, you can't quite tell as much, but Kyle's hair definitely.
It just grows. Like I get a haircut and it's long again in 3 weeks.
Yeah. And it was like one of those things where it's like I just didn't really care. Like what was there to be done about it, you know? I honestly think for a first time amateur movie, like this is pretty impressive. Like it's impressed a lot of people. I'm proud of it. I know we're all proud of it.
Yeah.
Everyone involved on it. And like, yeah, it shouldn't have taken as long as it did, but like it was totally worth it, you know? And like I thought even when the idea expanded from this opening scene and I thought of the whole, what if this was like a film crew making a movie twist? Even that was going to be brief. I really thought it was just going to be like one twist, and then that was going to be it, you know. And it would like it maybe a few more minutes of like them getting chased by something or realizing something bad was going to happen, and then that would be it. And so that was like a 10-minute short idea, you know, for me.
Yeah.
But then just I kept getting ideas, and it kept expanding. And so eventually, at some point, I decided, you know, what if I like hired a couple like real actors for this? And I reached out to, that's when I found Madison through a friend of mine, and then she knew Carly, and so that's how I met them. And yeah, they're the only two actual actors that we didn't know beforehand. Everyone else was either a friend of me or Kyle's.
Yeah.
That's involved in this pretty much. And so yeah, that added some authenticity to it, which I thought was really great. And
I love this shot right here, dude.
Oh yeah, we definitely went wild with the drone at the beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of it was just like, yeah, I think everyone did a great job, honestly. Like by the end, like everyone acted their butts off, and I think it worked out pretty well. But this, yeah, I was really aiming to make like a kick-ass opening scene that could have been a great standalone thing. I still think it could be, but it just gets better, I think. Like
this shot too.
Like shots like this, like this, so sick.
This part of the movie feels more like a production.
Yeah.
Which is the feel you were going for.
Yeah.
But this part definitely feels more planned. It just feels more like official movie.
Yeah, it feels like,
especially once you watch this the part afterwards, and it feels more like a.
Yeah.
I think that's you nailed the feeling.
Yeah, this totally just feels like. It feels like a student horror film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is something that you would come up with, just like, oh, let's go out and let's like do something, you know?
Yeah.
Which kind of makes the whole line later about us working on this for 3 months really funny, because it's like, in reality, no, this took like a week. But I don't know. Just, you know, there's some, you know, things here and there, but like the whole thing. Like even the plot logic in this, like why wouldn't she just run to the cars, you know, and like get help, you know? Like that's not the point. The point is that yeah, it's like supposed to be just a fun like. It doesn't have to make sense.
And we kept some of the errors.
Yeah.
In the footage in there on purpose, so that kind of like
adds
you said,
it.
Like the eagle-eyed viewers would notice and start picking things up along the way.
Yeah, there were some mistakes. There were some more mistakes that I actually ended up taking out. That I was like, if people don't know the twist going on, they're gonna be like, oh wow, this is really sloppy, you know?
Yeah.
Like during the drone segments, there were some shots where you could just see Kyle operating it right out of the frame.
Yeah.
And I cropped him out because I just thought that might be too much. But I still think this works out really creepy. Like this whole thing is great. This is totally freehand. It's kind of shaky, but I think it still works.
Boom.
Yeah, love this. Love this tilt down. That's so good. And this is a drone shot, in case you couldn't tell.
I almost clipped her ankles right here, actually.
Oh, yeah.
On that shot.
You had her running for her life. And this reveal. So yeah, I talked a lot during that opening scene, but I really wanted to set the stage because I think there's a lot to say about this whole thing.
We did not use a Sony.
We did not. No, this was just like we needed a second camera, and that was the only other one we had. So this was actually the first thing we shot with everybody. Like, and it's like a pretty ambitious like multi-shot, you know, like I overcomplicated every scene, but I think it worked out because like it just makes it feel so much more alive, you know.
Jake standing in the back with the boom.
There's lines like that I want you to pay attention to, because later on, I'm going to talk about things that are going to blow even Kyle's mind that he hasn't even thought about in terms of like characters and setting things up. So there's inserts in this where some of this was shot like November 2020, and then this shot with me and Maddie right here is literally in like March of 2022. Like, it's ridiculous how much time differences between certain shots that you can't even tell.
But honestly, even if we can make it so she actually falls, so that it's actually authentic and real, I think that would add a lot of value to the film as well. On the photography, I mean,
The behind the scenes of this shot right here
Dude.
was we got.
Oh,
I think we changed the line or something so that somebody else said it
yeah.
because you kept saying.
I kept saying so originally I said the line that Maddie was saying there, but I kept fudging it up. I kept saying couches instead of coats. And it's in the bloopers. It's probably gonna be in the blooper reel.
He would point to the to the coats and say, "Yeah, we got couches," and then we would cut and be like, "Dude, it's coat." We'd do another shot, and it would start, and he'd be like, "I'm good, I got it, I got it," and then we'd start, and he'd point to it again and say, "Yeah, man, we got couches right there." It was just very funny. It was
Absolutely hysterical.
7 or 8 takes before we just switched the person over.
Yeah, and that was I guess I don't know what it was, because that was my first night directing like a bunch of people, and I just like it was my line, and I couldn't say it. Like I just kept fudging it up, and I just played it totally straight. I was like, I mean, yeah, we got couches, like it was so funny, and I think that loosened everybody up though. I think that was good.
Yeah.
Thing about this is that like should I point out flaws in my own film during a commentary, because like Emma just appears here like she's not in any of the previous shots until right now, like whatever, she was there just between people somewhere. Me adding in this behind the scenes stuff was like a last minute thing.
I was gonna say this wasn't.
Yeah, in the edit I just decided it would be really cool if we had more time to breathe with us just being goofy and like being really real. I feel like it works pretty well for what I was going for.
A little ominous tunnel shot.
Yeah, a little tension build up here. Love stuff like that.
All right, everybody.
Shot that by myself.
Let's see.
At the tunnel. Yeah, and again, this was real, just me buying pizzas for people, and this is just us talking, because like I just felt like letting people, because like I said, most of us aren't actual actors, only a couple of us were.
Yeah.
So I feel like doing something like this, and especially when a couple of us didn't know each other, because this was kind of a little bit of our worlds kind of crossing, me and Kyle's. So like just getting everybody to know each other was, I think, really important, and it helps everyone's chemistry, bounces off really well, because I kind of just let us all chatter all the time, and I recorded some of it, and it got into the movie. And this here I was just being goofy, you know.
Yeah.
But it works. It totally works. And you never know. Until now, until I just told you in the commentary.
Dude, I'm eating pepperoni right there. I'm not a fraud, I swear.
What, are you supposed to be a vegetarian?
No, usually I don't eat like pepperoni because sometimes it has pork in it.
Well, you marked
I must
up.
have been very hungry that night.
Yeah.
We actually we shouldn't say that on commentary. I was talking
What?
about the light.
Oh, I mean, who cares? It was fixed. Yeah, we
Yeah.
burnt out that light using we plugged in a heat, because it
heater.
was so cold. We plugged in a space heater at that picnic area, and it shorted out the light up there, which is partially why we used kind of our set lights in the scene. But you could, like, actually, some of the shots later in that conversation that we're about to have, that light already burned out, and we just used the set lights that we had,
Yep.
which worked out pretty well.
Maybe gonna see this and they're gonna charge us the
Yeah.
$20.
Yeah. Nobody knows where this is. It's fine. So this scene was one of two scenes that I was just like
You guys never actually told me
mortally terrified of editing,
that tunnel works.
and because it was so complicated, like look at all these shot changes,
Yeah.
and even filming it was a nightmare because I wanted freedom in the edit, and so I had different shots of all of us, and that, I mean, on the one hand, it made it easier because we didn't all have to, you know, we had a bunch of times to get it right, but also we had to shoot it like a bajillion times, so everyone was kind of, you know, really tired of it by the end. But everyone was a trooper that night. You know, we got it done all in one night, I think.
I mean, this
for the
is
most
one of
part.
the easier scenes to film.
Yeah.
'Cause we all got to sit down.
Right.
It was just very, very, very cold. And even though it looks like we're dressed for the cold weather right here, all of our winter coats are just like 2 tables away, piled up.
Yeah.
Because we'd take them off in between, like to go shoot one scene, take them all off, sit there, act like we're not shivering.
Yeah. And we just kind of committed to a time of year because,
Right.
and later you'll see this later in the movie when snow starts appearing, we just kind of had to ride around it, and it kind of worked, but it made it really hard to film, and that's why you see hand warmers in the back there because I had to bring them.
Yeah, some people like will straight up just immediately set their intention to
Yeah, using quote unquote Geonautica as kind of the instigator for the story. It's not really like the main point. It's just kind of giving the viewer like a tangible thing to kind of explain, because with the threat of the movie, I wanted it to be mysterious, but not like to the point where there's just no answers. Like, all you really need to know is that there is some kind of anomaly going on, and this kind of gives it an explanation more than just like chance, you know, like we did stumble across something, and as you'll see later in the movie, there is a logic to it. Not everything is explained, but there is a logic to what exactly is happening. And I think that's a good balance that we struck in the story of mystery versus giving people answers.
Right.
Great exposition here by Jake.
Let's go. I've got nothing better to do. Yeah.
And this car scene coming up, I don't remember whose idea it was, but pretty genius way to do a car crash scene by switching to a Snapchat POV,
I think it was Madison's idea.
which is genius, Madison, genius. Like, because we couldn't figure out how to do it, you know, 'cause in a safe way. Basically, almost no budget to this movie. Like, how are we gonna do it? How are we gonna make it authentic? And this was just a genius way to do it, I think.
Yeah, we can't rig up the car.
Right.
and make it look. This is where Jake's character kind of really gets his like identity.
Yeah.
He shaped the identity of like the conspiracy theorist. Like,
What I love about his character is that he's on the one hand like this pragmatic, by the book producer, but then he's also like peddling conspiracy theories and just like as a total whack job outside of it. I love that.
By the way, this scene, having to film, I was the feet there actually, and
Oh yeah, that's right.
walking on that pavement was so cold.
You didn't tell me that.
No, it was so cold.
Well, this is all smushed in. I don't know where all the smoke came from, but gone.
It's funny. That's a genuine reaction right there from me. Looking at that was the first one we shot right here. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure because I looked at his air intake, and it was genuinely not on
That's
how
why
it should.
That's
be.
why I threw in that line of I don't think it has anything to do with the crash, which I thought was funny. I don't know if anybody laughed at that, but I thought it was funny because it's true. That was a genuine problem with this car.
His air intake just was not on.
I mean, yeah, I could try. I mean, just go back to the park.
There's some incredible ad-libbing from Jake coming up. Like, my God, this is where the comedy of the movie took off.
Yeah.
Like for sure.
Well, we're not going anywhere, so Jake's gonna call Jake, and we're gonna head up to the park.
Okay. I'm gonna go call someone real quick, okay?
Ooh, who's she calling?
Yeah, who's she calling? Interesting Little throwaway line there. This is
Hello?
just amazing.
Jake, it's Jake. No, it's Jake Ellie. Yes, thank you.
Like, why would the other Jake need him to specify what his last name is?
Somebody stepped out in front of us, man. I swerved and I hit a tree.
I also think that a lot of this just like,
No, I'm not drinking. I swerved and hit a tree.
I think this whole start of the movie is just very well paced. Like,
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't. He's gone.
That's what I love. I like horror that starts out exciting to grab your attention, but then slowly builds, and the tension just kind of takes you with the characters into whatever's going to happen.
Right. Because right now, in a traditional, cliche type horror movie, something would happen to Jake.
Yes.
Right here. He's all alone. He's in the woods. We just crashed. We saw that there was someone there,
Yeah.
and nothing happens to him. It's just part of the build.
Yeah. And like originally, and I thought this was a little bit like too far of pushing through subverting expectations, but originally nobody died in this movie. And I just felt like there wasn't enough edge to it, even with all the scary things that happen later on. And then, we figured out the ending, and it just fell into place as the absolute perfect ending. But we'll get there. It's honestly incredible how much of this, was thought of on set versus what was scripted.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this
whole scene.
I can't even remember which is which sometimes.
Yeah.
About what we thought of.
This whole back and forth between everybody here was all on set.
Mostly ad-libbed. Yeah.
No, don't say that.
The alien running joke
Yeah.
actually turned out to be really funny.
No.
It could be aliens.
It's the only time my character agrees.
We'll grab it and see if it's got any eggs in it or some shit.
That's us genuinely laughing. That was the first time he said that.
Is it wet or anything like that?
No.
All right.
Why would it be wet?
I don't know. Aliens are wet. Just grab it.
I'm not grabbing it either.
I'll grab it.
That's so good. It was originally supposed to be an office joke, but I think it works either way. Just camera whips are funny.
There's blood.
So then Maddie comes back
From her call.
some phone call. I can give you the real answer or the story answer. The real answer is that she wasn't there to film for the jacket scene, but there is kind of a little background through line with her character that she's making shady calls and stuff. I don't know. It's interesting.
It ties in at the end of the movie, so just keep it in mind for the there will be a scene coming up. I'll remind you then, but just keep it in mind.
Lighting makes 0 sense here, but looks cool.
It does look cool.
Nice transition there, which looked really cool on my desktop, where Carly kind of walks and it fades right into the next scene.
This
Dude,
Took a couple
Forever.
shots because who was it that fell?
oh, Carly fell. Oh, definitely. So this is probably gonna come out before the blooper reel for sure. But there's so many funny
was
moments
such a
caught on
good
camera.
time.
Good God, this was early on too, so I felt like
Oh,
dude, me. Oh, originally we were running through the woods at that
Yeah.
part before we filmed that one, and so it made sense that my character was just out of breath. But now it just looks like I'm the only out of shape guy there. We were walking, and I'm huffing and puffing.
meanwhile you're the most in shape, probably easily.
Buildings and trees over there. What are you talking about, Val?
So this was a really natural way to get people acquainted with, or, feel immersed with, because most people watching this are not going to know Western Michigan campus, but Jake really did not go to Western, so his character was a good way to have him question, like, what are these places? What are these proper nouns you're talking about? And then have the characters, answer that. So, it's not really important to know exactly what they are, but it gives you like a lived-in sense of we know the area.
Right. And then yeah, this is kind of where my character just becomes the angry guy for the rest of the of the film. Just over everybody's shit.
Yeah. I have things to say about it, but I'm going to wait till we get to the end. Because I will say, like, yes, if it were up to me, I would have spent more time with the characters getting to know them in the beginning. It would have been a hard balance. Like, I would have had, like, daytime scenes, I think, If I were to change, like, one big thing about the movie, it would probably be that we had another section between the beginning cold open and then another section of getting to know the characters during the day, and we come back and finish filming later. But obviously it was too much to film for this. I think the way this is now totally works. I'm very, very happy with it. But, so yeah, the characters, the characterizations are a little, you really have to pay attention to catch on if you don't know us personally.
Yeah, I love this shot.
Love the shot. But the characterization is there. And I'm definitely going to touch on that when we get to the rooftop scene. This scene, actually super happy with. Wonder how many people noticed who else is in this shot.
You look up there on that railing. Those pants look awfully familiar.
That's interesting. This scene is just kind of like... just like foreshadowing everything that I find creepy. Especially build up, and then nothing's happened yet. That's like, that gets to me.
Oh yeah, dude, like walking around. Yeah,
yeah. Just playing with shadows and stuff. I just love it. We were gonna do this practically, and it's definitely not. It's definitely a post-production effect. I think it looks good. I think it looks fine.
Yeah, I mean,
I added the glow to it to make it like a supernatural kind of vibe. I think it works.
The whole point of this other world, I guess you could call it, where we are, is just kind of,
yeah,
things don't make sense. So
yeah.
So
yeah. So in case you didn't understand this scene, because, and again, this kind of, we're gonna talk about the whole plot, but because it's showing us kind of in our roles for the movie, me as the director, that's why I'm kind of overseeing where everyone is.
Dude, we caught the thing that we were seeing flying all over campus.
Was that the same night?
That was there.
Was that the same night? I
It
know
was
what you're
probably
talking about.
that night, yeah, man. Because
weird. Yeah, we saw something weird filming one of those nights, like some kind of drone that was not acting like a drone. Make of that what you will.
Some on-location lore right there, but
Yeah.
genuinely did not look like a drone.
Yeah.
And was way too quiet, flew very weird.
I wouldn't go so far as to call it a UFO, but Kyle was spooked. And Kyle knows his stuff, so...
I was the drone guy in the beginning of this.
So you would know. But yeah, this... Most nights, Kyle's with me. This was one of those where he wasn't. This was me, Chloe, and Jake, actually. This car... That is Jake Elliott's car. So that's very reminiscent of something we just saw earlier, where the car was approaching some kind of figure. So that's kind of connected in a way. This, everyone else that you see in this scene was here for that, or was here for this the whole time. That was the crew for this scene. This was the first like individual person that we did a scene for. And what a great start to coming up with ideas for that.
The window shot.
Oh yeah. As soon as we came up with that, we were like, are we really gonna like try this crazy stuff? And it totally paid off. I think Maddie's, and maybe it's because she was the first one of us that we kind of really fleshed out the ideas. Her character arc's kind of the easiest to telegraph, I think. You know, her kind of being the bossy assistant director during the beginning of the movie, and then she sees all her crew yelling back at her. You know, that's, you know, that one's pretty obvious. Some of the other characters are a little more subtle, but we'll get to that for sure.
Yeah.
But for her scenes, it's very, you know, you can grasp it pretty easily. So if you look really closely, you can tell that it's already a split shot.
It's so cool.
And honestly, if you're not looking for it, which you would be because she's doing it in the reflection, but there were times when I was editing where I kind of just didn't notice that she was still standing there in the reflection. That kind of parallels Chloe in the beginning at the tunnel. Kind of the same shot. So good.
I just remember that like screenshot you sent me of like our faces close up in that.
Yeah.
We just look like absolute.
This was definitely funny on the day. Hopefully it came off creepier than it felt to do.
That was a genuine alarm.
Yep.
We didn't know
that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
We just ran with it. Love that. A lot of the stuff we just came up with like on the spot, you know? Like we knew we were going to split up the characters and we knew we were going to be in different locations around campus. But a lot of the creepy stuff we just kind of, I mean, we had some ideas of what we were going to do, but a lot of it was just bouncing ideas off each other. And that's why this movie was so collaborative, because a lot of the scares and the creepy stuff was just a process that we all did together.
It cuts to the
That
sloth.
was something that I came up with, like, because I saw Jake had a sloth on his car, and I was like, oh, that's going to be a transition. Immediately.
She was laying behind you.
Cutie. We have cats here. So Jake Crow and Emma, the reason that they're not part of the main crew is, one, we had a lot of people already, but also they lived farther away at the time. So I wanted them in the movie, but I wanted to give them freedom to, you know, not have to be around for every shoot. This was early. If you look at Kyle's hair.
You can just tell when it was filmed. When I have really short hair, it was probably like early 2020.
Yep. And then the next shot is like January 22.
Yeah. You just notice how my hair drops down to being in my hood.
These sequences were kind of longer, but we just I replaced it because there was some footage that was lost on this movie, unfortunately. Some of the opening Chloe scene, there's whole little chunks of that that are missing that you could never tell because it still flows really well. But same with Kyle. Some of the stuff we shot was lost
There was
permanently.
that really cool shot where I peek out from around the dumpster and it says,
Yep.
"Sorry about your wall" and graffiti.
Yep. Which is still in the trailer.
It's true.
There's a lot of deleted scenes that are in that first trailer.
The walk up the thing right there, like in the very beginning when we're showing the names across the screen. I don't remember whose it is. I think it might be Carly's name goes across it, but it's a shot of the dumpster. We had a really similar one like that, except for a hand was kind of sitting there, and I walk past it, and the hand just kind of slowly creeps away as I walk past. I was very sad that didn't
Didn't
get
make it
saved.
in. Yeah. Still some great ideas, but for every idea that we lost in the lost footage, we added a new one, so
Yeah.
we balanced it out pretty well. There's a lot of stuff that was shot after some of that footage was lost. So this was just me and Carly. So Kyle didn't see any of this until later. And then Maddie joined us later. And even that was like, it just kind of worked out in terms of the way the story went, in the edit. Like, a lot of the stuff was found in the edit. Like, editing her together with Maddie screaming in the mirrors that happened to play at the same time she was screaming with the voices in her head. Like, some of that was kind of by chance. But it kind of worked. And I love a lot of these shots. A lot of these shots are some of my favorites in the movie. That's my hand right there.
I didn't even notice that until you pointed it out.
Yep.
I thought it was just a compression.
Yeah, which is great. See, this was shot much later.
This was shot literally
The week before
it
release.
came out.
Yeah.
You can see it in my hair again. It's even longer.
So a lot of this, like including this, so this auditorium, or what would you call it? Amphitheater.
Amphitheater, yeah.
Is currently under construction right now, so it's inaccessible. So, but we had that whole scene of Kyle being frozen down there already. So I was like, well, how do we fix this? So I just had to dig out a test shot that I did and use it as a POV of Kyle's POV, and then edit in a few more shots to make it make sense, There's a lot of that. Just kind of editing around what we had. Jake is so funny here.
Effortlessly just funny.
Just having two Jakes be the comedic relief is just like, in itself, really funny to me.
My hair's short again, so you
Yep.
can tell we're not lying. We did have the footage way before.
Yes. And there was even more of this where he was kind of wandering around the amphitheater first, but I had to just make it work with what we had, and
Yeah.
totally did. I was able to save the sequence.
Yeah, we actually, at one point, I think we filmed the person who gets into my face. We filmed
Yes.
walking down the stairs. So
Yes.
it was like even more of a drawn out process where it was like you could tell I was being frozen as the thing came towards me. I was more and more, I just couldn't move.
But I thought it worked better as like a reveal.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing from that perspective that something's coming down, and then just having the mask face creep in. I just loved it. And this is me in the suit, by the way. So like,
And this scene was so hard to film because
Oh, yeah.
Tyler got so close to my face, and I just knew who it was behind the mask. I just kept laughing, man, because he just
it was really funny. Just having that goofy ass mask.
just the way he did it too, man. Just the way he just leaned into my face.
Yeah.
But I liked how this all came together. We were
Yeah.
all like reaching that
Reaching a
high point of
like
our
like
what
a-
is this place?
breaking point.
Yeah.
And this is just a great visual here. Like she's kind of being caged in, by all these voices. Like everything just came together so well. And Kyle's kind of just being like literally frozen in fear at his own, his own character, which I
Yeah.
think is I just love how we played with, intentionally or not, like just meta explorations of like everyone's roles in the movie. Like that's just great stuff. Lighting completely changes, which actually kind of works.
It
Actually.
works, man, because it's like you're snapping out
Yeah.
of it.
My mask and my suit on.
Even this was like, I really had to edit. I really had to cut this up a lot to make it work, but it totally works. Like it's just, there's so much that goes into editing that like, it's so complicated, but I love this.
Yeah.
you would never be able to tell that this scene gave me a hard time.
Right. And also confirming now that was the night that we saw that thing flying through the skies.
Yeah, because that was.
I remember being in the amphitheater watching it go overhead.
Yep. I don't know if we shot my scene on that day though. I think that was much later. Could have been the same thing though. You never know. So yeah, a lot of these ideas coming up with the mirror stuff, like it's a mixture of things we came up with on the day, but like thematically it actually makes sense and matches up with the characters, like in ways that I look back on and I'm like, wow, like that actually makes a lot of sense.
The movie made itself.
It really kind of like
It made itself make itself.
made itself. It's like it really, like sometimes creations take on a life of their own. Like the story is there, like whether the creator, you know, is really putting all of it in there or not. Like it just kind of, if the story is there, it's gonna show up. You know what I mean? What I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like this is great. All practical too. Like I just literally had to avoid being seen in any of the mirrors. And we had them all smushed together and on her. And then cut back to her. Like those two sequences were totally separate things, and it just came together beautifully.
Oh yeah, and this scene we just
Yep.
had this simple idea of playing with the exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Just up,
Yeah, I'm
down,
just
up,
literally
down.
just like switching, like moving the dial, and it makes the light look like it's blinking. Here in a second. There it is.
Just something about this scene. It just makes it feel like warmer,
Mhm.
just because of the wind and like
Yeah,
the light. I don't know.
it's just beautiful,
Yeah.
honestly. I knew when we got this shot, I was like, oh boy, what are we doing here? Like, this is sick. Wonder whose hand that is.
It's definitely not mine.
Boom. Shoved the hell out of her.
She told me to, man. There was a couple takes where I was just like really gentle with it, and she was like, "Shove me."
Now, there's a lot of Maddie's sequences. Like, she really gets put through the ringer in this movie because she was available a lot, you know, and we had a lot of cool ideas and a lot of it that matched up with her character. So,
Yeah.
but I gave everyone time to shine for sure. There's some more stuff with Jake. This is just me and Jake on this night, I think. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely shot a little bit more that didn't make it in. A lot more of him wandering around campus, you know. Him being lost, literally, like he just got completely lost, and it was like pretty hysterical. He really got to see a lot more of the creepy places around campus. When it gets back to his scene, I'll talk more about that. But this scene's a banger for sure. Very reminiscent of something we just shot earlier tonight. Little tease.
Ooh.
Love that. I love jump scares that like don't always jump out at you. Just like, oh, you're gonna notice it.
No special effects were used on that right there.
Yeah,
That's
she can just
actually
Maddie. Maddie can do that. Actually, she's just that talented. What else am I gonna do but go comfort my friend? You know.
You did this to me. You did it. And now our blood is on your hands.
So this is foreshadowed like in a few different ways. Like in the beginning when Carly and I are talking about the new revamped scene, she talks about, oh, I'll make her hands look like they're scraped up and like there's blood and stuff like that. And then obviously it's her fault that she was the one who knew about the Geonautica app. Just really cool subtle ways and lines that we threw in there to add dimension to like what was going on, and to make it, like have all the cool scares match up with the characters and give it some depth to the story, which I think worked out really well.
I'm just right in that classroom.
Oh, yeah.
Door right there.
He's like, I forget which alcove it is. It's like
It's that
the
second one she just walked past.
There was more of this part that we shot that didn't end up making it. Just stuff that I liked, but just didn't make sense with what we were doing. But that was kind of like your first big hint that, oh, this, like the geography of this campus isn't really making a lot of sense. Because she ends up, if you notice at the beginning, she walks into the bathroom and it closes. She's in a brick hallway, and then she comes out and it looks totally different. So it was like, okay, like visually it's not totally coherent. And there's definitely not a real life reason for us doing that. It's definitely all creative choice. The real, like, that's another thing. Like, the real reason is because we couldn't get into the building that time, but we made it into we made it work. That's what I love about this movie. There's so much of this, so much of the cool ideas were born out of limitations, like actual logistical limitations. But you know what you do? You adapt the story to make it make sense, and you keep going. That's really what a lot of this movie is, and it works so, like, sometimes it works better. This is fantastic. Trailer moment. So
Again.
This scene, this entire Jake fight scene, all of this audio was replaced later. None of this audio is from the day because we didn't record audio. And you could never tell. Unless I tell you.
So good.
Bringing Jake back in such a big way, as like a big twist like this, I knew it was a great idea. So he was originally just going to be a part of the earlier sequence where she sees all of us, but making it into its whole like a whole chunk of her sequence, just made it land even better.
Looks like he seems like he's a Dead by Daylight character right now.
Yeah.
Just, like,
If this movie goes any more viral, then maybe we'll get in someday. So you might not notice, but this is the same building that Carly was in earlier. So yeah, this
Love
was
the
all
trash can throw.
yeah.
It's so good.
Kyle's not here for this. This was shot like February 2022.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not real.
what am I doing? I just love this so much. Jake originally had another line there that I forgot to put back in where he says, "Oh, it's real," and then he attacks her. They really went for it. Like, it was like a silent day. Like, we didn't disturb anybody, but like, if anyone heard this, like, from outside the room, like, they would have,
There's so many lines in this movie that if anybody heard screaming,
yeah,
you know, it's we're gonna get the cops called on us.
yeah.
Look at my hair.
And look at my sweatshirt. You
This-
can't tell it's a different one because I cut around it. Yeah, if you know Western Campus, you'll know that POV shot does not match up at all with where we're looking, but it totally works. You'd never know. Sorry, I'm kind of like punching holes in this, but really the point is to like show you that things can work. Like you can work around stuff if nobody would know the difference, you know. This was also added very late. This was a
This was the same night we filmed.
week of release
Yeah.
shoot. Just fleshing it out more because there's a whole part of the movie where Kyle and I are just gone, and I just felt like we needed something else, and it works. It builds on the characters figuring out what's going on, so it just works. Another great thing. Maddie was here with us, doing the lights there. This is a reverse shot. I don't know if you can tell. And that right there is the bridge right above where my scene happened. And like, to me, it's like, it doesn't matter if that's literally where we were in the story. Just cool that we were kind of filming around the same places, you know, for certain scenes.
That construction right there is actually done now, I believe.
Almost, yeah. They started that. They started that, and they're like, this is because this was 2020, I think. Maybe this was 21. This might have been 2021.
The tent is up, which means it's probably sometime around start of the semester.
It might have been. So this, so Jake getting lost on campus was originally going to be like there's an alternate version of this scene where he sits down at the same bench that Chloe sat at and kind of starts drawing up a map of whatever he can think of as being campus, you know, trying to figure out his way back to wherever, you know, some kind of landmark. And then he hears the noise and it's the same, plays out the same way as the beginning, which was cool. But the whole map thing just didn't, you know, end up playing out like I wanted. I was originally going to have, like, the original version of Jake's scene was just way too complicated. Like, the map was going to get, like, some accidental marking on it, and that's how we were going to figure out where Chloe might be. It just didn't work out. But I like it how it is now. Simple, still creepy, and we still end up finding him, and that, you know how that turns out. Very well.
His head just pinks.
This is so grungy. It looks like a Saw movie. So this, you can kind of see a little camera glitch there, but I actually kept that in because it's kind of like the world itself is kind of glitching out, you know, falling apart, you know, like in Coraline, basically. Have you seen On Location? It's basically Coraline.
Basically the same thing.
This was also very early. this was the first time that the two of them really got to like act, and I was pretty impressed.
Oh yeah, this is when I knew that we had good acting in the
Yeah.
movie.
I posted about it like the night we filmed. I was like, yeah, this might actually be something really good. There's a lot more takes of this, of course, too, where they had a longer conversation where they could just show off their acting chops. It was great, but we just needed to move the story along.
There we go again, man. I'm straight down to my knees. I'm out of breath.
So out of shape. That's acting, though. That was our way of acting.
I thought it was crazy.
What have you guys seen?
I saw you. Yeah, and I saw all of you.
This was also longer originally, but we kind of gave away too much, and it kind of made the rooftop realizations not land as well. So yeah, there was still a lot of trimming on this movie. Like, even though it ended up being way longer than we thought it would be, still a lot of stuff was cut just to make it flow better.
Could have easily been like 145.
Yeah. This I took out early and I just put it back in at the last minute because I didn't like it at first, and then this time I really liked it. Just creative choices just can change on a whim sometimes.
Yeah. Church becomes like a center point of
Yeah,
a lot of how our characters figure out where they are.
which worked out really well because it's how the movie starts.
I love that music coming back in, like
Yep,
choirish.
the choir music.
Hello? Hello?
Jake?
Anyone down there? Jake?
Absolute Chad moment. I got it.
I got this. All these parallels just worked so well. And this is played for a joke, but there's still some good significance to it that I'll get into later.
I'm not crying.
I had to turn down Maddie's scream so much because it was so loud.
What the fuck is going on?
Also, are we in Syracuse? Great line.
We just found you, so we need to get out of here. We gotta find a host. Oh, let's go.
Oh.
Alright, yeah, let's fucking go.
This was an idea on set, or like on set as well.
Yeah.
Where his arm would swing back and
I believe that's Emma grabbing him,
yeah.
actually. That spiraling camera. Love that. Became a signature of the movie.
Very early on, we knew that there was going to be lots of those.
Yeah. And this sequence is silent because I didn't record sound, but it worked. Peeks out from behind the corner. This was the last thing we shot, right here.
Yep.
Actually, that's not true. I lied. We intended for this to be the last thing we shot. I ended up having to go back later and do one thing by myself on the rooftop, which was absolutely worth it. I'll know when it comes. But yeah,
I don't even think I know about that, do I?
you don't know about that. There's stuff about this that Kyle doesn't even know yet. I'll point it out, because you wouldn't know. You would have assumed that we filmed this a long time ago. Maddie's not in the shot because she wasn't there. There was a period of time where Maddie wasn't available, and then she became really available, which is when we did a lot of her individual stuff. I also love that, we've searched literally everywhere. except the parking garage. Like,
Superhero shot.
yeah. Pretty goofy, but I thought it was fun.
Oh yeah.
This movie's a little tongue-in-cheek. Like, come on. Come on. We were having fun. And this started snowing, and I was like, let's just put it in the story. And if you notice, we added in this Maddie line much later, this little realization here, because a year later, we filmed the Jake fight scene, and there was snow there as well. So to me, snow kind of is the area of this forest anomaly where either death has happened or it's about to happen, you know. There's some correlation there.
What else are we gonna do?
And even this was like drawn out a lot more than it was on set. Just adding in shots and just making it, padding it out actually made it more dramatic.
Where are you?
Love the shot. Fought so hard to keep it in because there is a really bad VFX thing in this that you might not notice, and I'm not going to point it out. If you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't.
I actually did.
You
Just
saw
now
it that time?
for the first
Yeah.
time. I just saw it.
If you go and analyze that shot, you'll see it. But if you're not looking for it, you'd never know. You'd never notice it. Really funny. And this was born out of Chloe not becoming unavailable. But thematically, the whole movie is made by this. You know, it just worked out so
Yeah.
well.
Where could she possibly be?
So, and going into the ending, you know, I've heard a lot of different theories about what happens to Chloe. And I'm not going to invalidate any of them. There's definitely kind of a version of things that we subscribe to, I think. But I'm going to blow your minds even a little bit more. And maybe I'll wait till this is done. 'Cause
I had so much fun just arguing with Jake that night. We just screamed at each, just fed off each other's energy
Yeah.
and screamed at each other.
a lot of ad-libbed arguing.
Drop that out of the fucking sky. There's no room for the parking garage. Ask Carly. She knows what the fuck she's talking about.
How else can you explain it? I don't understand what's going on. Chloe! Chloe, answer!
Breaking the tension. So yeah, so this part is where I explain, you know, we figure out that why everyone's seeing what they're seeing. And I think that's necessary. I don't think it's just purely exposition. I think that
Our characters are figuring it out
Yeah.
as we're
Yeah.
moving along as well, so it's not.
yeah. Another scene that I was terrified to edit, and it was a nightmare to edit, but it worked out very well. So, this shot. everything that's close up on my face was the last thing that was shot for the whole movie. I did this by myself on the Tuesday before release, and I acted my ass off. I think I did pretty well. You'd never know.
I didn't know that was shot.
Yep.
So
See, I fooled this guy too.
That's why I took her. It has to be something.
right there, my mouth was so cold that I couldn't like enunciate my words.
Oh, this night was so cold. We filmed most of this in one night, actually. Like, besides that one close-up shot, a lot of this was the same night. And I don't know how we got it done, because we were all so cold. This was, like, one of the coldest nights of filming. This was the last thing that we filmed as a group, really.
Which would have been December,
Back in 2020 of December, yeah.
right before Christmas break.
Yep. So this was kind of, this was like the wrap on the movie at first, you know. Still a lot more was shot after this, but this was like the end of the original shoot. And
Like half of the movie's worth of footage was probably shot after that moment
yeah,
too.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, the whole thing I've been building up, this whole tease. I guess I'll go into it. So every character kind of has this their fear, insecurities, or whatever that plays into their role in the movie. The role in the movie that we shoot in the story. But if you'll notice, if you kind of, and it's not, I'm not going to act like this was intentional from the beginning, but it's there if you look into it. Like, Maddie is the bossy assistant director who can't, seem to balance out her nice qualities. Carly feels all this guilt of, and about how she's dealing with what's happening. Kyle kind of becomes this bossy guy who is kind of pushing blame off of everyone, off of himself, off of ourselves. And Jake, like I said, is this logistical guy who is also peddling all these conspiracy theories. And I'm like this, trying to be this leader that means well, but is kind of leading everyone in the wrong direction. And all this stuff, we have all these little character traits that kind of you think would play into a character arc, but we really don't change by the end.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't learn from our mistakes or our shortcomings. And in a way, you can kind of see that as our punishment. Chloe's death is in our way a kind of punishment for not recognizing those things and changing those things about ourselves. Like Kyle, in the beginning, this sets up with your character where you're like, oh, well, thanks for telling me I was a great crawler, but I can't really take credit for it, which is a throwaway line, but it kind of plays into the whole movie. You're like, you know what? It's not our fault, dude. We didn't know what was going on. We should let the police do their jobs, or, just doing anything in your power to make sure we're not to blame. You're not to blame. It's not our fault.
Yeah.
Little things like that with the characters that if you want to look deeper into it, you can totally see that as this is our punishment for not using these insecurities to become better people. Our character arcs are that we don't have character arcs. And like I said, that wasn't totally intentional, but
It's there.
it's there. And it's it's tangible.
Can you take us back to the beginning?
Yeah. So Elliot. Then
We were originally going to have a lot of the characters in this be questioned, but it didn't work out. But I think having Jake kind of gives enough information. Later on, he says this is funny though. Hold on. Just want to make sure that's on the record. Yeah, so he in a second he gives a line that's just he literally explains what our cover story is, that we followed her into the woods and we lost her,
And then right here is in the beginning of the movie when I told you to remember when Maddie goes away to make that phone call. If you look at her note right here, it talks about a scandal that she's involved in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see when it comes up here.
Yeah. I actually think I think Maddie's thing is pretty quick, actually. I think it might not have made it in.
Gotcha.
I hope it does.
Mine says that there's no cert on file for me. I'm not a certified stuntman, actually.
I really tried to hold on these a lot because we worked hard on this, and I wanted to make sure all the notes were read.
Yeah.
That's why I blocked them out in the marketing material, because I wanted to save it for the movie.
Well, Madison's character basically was involved in a scandal.
There's a little bit of it later, I think, in the files.
Gotcha. Yeah, they all get fired, and
Yeah.
so they were thinking maybe she's, her character is sneaking off, calling sketchy people.
Yeah. And that's there. That plays into her character as well, if you want to look for it. It doesn't really, that doesn't really come into the main plot, but just a little bit of world building, a little bit of character building there, which we thought was fun. Didn't have a picture of Jake Crow. That's why has no picture. effect timed up with the film footage. I think Maddie's is up there.
Yeah.
You might be able to see it in wide. Yeah, you'd have to look at it. I think that's the one thing that got cut. It's there though. If you enhance. Bailey did a great job. This is filmed in their basement.
Yeah.
Oh, see Madison background contacts. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, literally just went to Office Depot, bought a bunch of shit, and we played with it for like a few hours. That's all you really need. Just need some cool shots in there like this one.
We just gotta keep our story straight. Everything will work out.
Using the back of her head, just kind of having multiple shots like that. Just like stuff, little parallels like that. So this was shot where we're sitting right now, recording this commentary track. I just felt this was needed because just having some downtime to kind of reflect and having it be like the two producers, just like some fun little bit of like this movie's very meta. I understand that, but I still think it lands as like the drama still lands, but it's supposed to be fun at the same time,
Right. There was a take in here. We did a couple of takes here where I kind of really rail into them.
Yeah,
It didn't make the cut, but
it kind of does later. Like that's when you like lean forward and start yelling at me.
Yeah.
Like, that was definitely one of those takes.
like I said, man, my character is just the one that gets upset like a fourth of the way through the movie and then continues being upset. He's just over everybody's shit.
Like you're kind of like the aggressive, like you are literally the aggressor in your role as the spooky man, spooky stunt man. And this kind of like, all these characters are like, not all of them are like, some of them are more reflections of ourselves than, like they're versions of ourselves, obviously. That's why we kept our first names. Just kind of like taking we took a fake role in the movie and kind of took a character trait, whether it's true of us or not, but we just kind of amplified it. And this is kind of me like being like, trying to be a good leader, good director, but sometimes, not knowing what to do, or, sometimes not making all the headstrong choices or meaning well, but not knowing what choice to make. And that's kind of what plays into my character here. And Kyle still being an asshole with no accountability. So like that kind of adds to
Just
that whole,
like in real life.
Yeah, just like in real life. So that kind of plays into the whole idea of like, we're not bad people, but we got ourselves into a bad situation and it's kind of a tragedy. Like, you're not wrong, but what happened is still because of the choices we made.
There's Bella.
There's Bella.
Bella and Bill.
Did a good job, guys. And I've seen a lot of people interpret the ending like, I've heard some wild interpretations that, like I said, I don't want to invalidate, because I love that. What actually happened to Chloe? Was she already dead? Did we kill her? Did we literally stomp her out? Was it more of like a, not metaphorical, but like, was destroying the hard drive like kind of more of like a symbolic way of destroying her in like a soul kind of way? Is this really just kind of the world's most complicated snuff film? Did we literally intend to kill her and tried to cover it up with this elaborate story, Who knows?
It's all legit. It's all how you see it.
I love all those and I don't want to be like the kind of guy who's like, it's how you interpret it. I'm literally just saying this like, what is it, like 10 days after the movie came out? These are all things that I've heard from people. And just like who have come to me and said, this is how I saw the ending. It was crazy. And I'm like, who am I to take that away? Like, in my mind, when we put the ending together, it's definitely like, yeah, there's room for interpretation, but we had a version of it that we, like I said, that we think is like what happened. But there was still room to play within that. And I think if you're the type of person that really just prefers a solid answer, I think the important thing is that no matter how it happened or what literally happened, it was our fault, I think.
Yeah.
Intentionally or not. Our choices, led to what happened. And it's incredibly beautiful that she, being the star of the film, and from the beginning, is the one who gets killed by the end, and it's us, that's just great to me. And you could even if you want to, you could see that as like a commentary on like how the industry treats actors, I don't know. It's there if you want it to be. Those are things that I thought about. Definitely things that, while not like, I think a movie like themes there can be multiple themes. Like not every story has to be saying one thing, I think it's all there. But I was so happy with how this ending turned out. Just like, editing wise, like it was a risk because at this point we couldn't get everyone back together anymore, and so
little cameo here.
Yeah.
This is actually one of our close family friends that passed away not too long ago, Officer Vandenberg. His last name was Vandenberg, and so there's a little shout out to him in the movie.
Definitely wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, he was like he was an actual officer, so
Yeah, that's
it was
awesome.
a no-brainer. But yes, that's the call right there, basically saying they found her.
They found her. Rest in peace. Kyle is sitting literally right there, right now, as we
doing the
record
exact
this,
same,
doing the same pose.
Position and everything.
What is it? This was also shot like a week before the release.
Yep.
Some of this other stuff was filmed in like summer of 2021, like everything at the end of the movie is like all over the timeline in terms of when it was shot. But it works so well.
What?
It's my favorite part of the movie, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Right now?
Because a lot of the rest of the movie came together at various scenes. As soon as I had the pieces for the ending montage, it all came together like instantly, and I was proud of it immediately. This is originally Jake was also going to open the door, but then I was like, wouldn't it be in his character to like hear from somebody that the cops were coming and just like book it? Postpone the inevitable. And also a lot of cutting between like he gets a call, the detective gets a call, taking a drink, another character takes a drink, that's just fun to do. Someone opens the window right here in a second. Just loved that. the way you slowly open the door at the end sells that. Like, just the 1, 2, 3. Shout out to my roommates for recording these lines literally like the day before the movie came out. I also didn't know because I had to match up this whole ending montage to the music, and I think I adding in all these Chloe shots and just making it hammering it home that it was her. It works.
Oh yeah,
No matter how you think it happened or
it's her.
what exactly happened. Chloe died. It was our fault. And that's the whole ironic twist. It's like a macrocosm of the movie that we shot. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
the story just came together so well. And yeah, you could see this as like, yeah, it's about creativity. It's about the death of creativity. Like, it's all there. Like I said, it's too much to even go through in one commentary track. There's just so many moving parts to this that just came together. It came alive, really. This movie, as it grew in size and length and scope, it all just fell into place. And I would not have put it out if I wasn't proud of it. And I very much am. And I know we all are. And that is On Location.
On Location, man.
Oh, man. What a...
2 years, almost.
Literally.
Of making
at least a year and a half of going into this. No,
Totally.
like almost 2 years because of the summer we spent before.
Yeah.
Totally worth it. Would do it all again. I'm so proud of everyone involved. And we can talk a little bit over the credits for a minute, but yeah, like I'm incredibly proud of that, and like I think it's, for what it is, it's like actually genuinely impressive, and I'm proud of everybody involved. And you know, maybe we should have, and I still plan to, like, you know, submit to festivals and whatnot and see what happens. But yeah, I'm thrilled that everyone's enjoying it as much as they are. Like, as of recording, it hit 2.2K views.
In 10 days, which is
In 10 days.
more than we expected.
Yeah.
For it to be doing at this point, and right now it's actually moving up fast, which is nuts.
It's moving up faster than the original release.
Yeah.
So yeah, super happy with it. There's so much I could say about it, but I don't want this to go over too long. So
Maybe we'll do like a Q&A.
that's it. Yeah, we're definitely gonna do
Twitter.
a lot more. We're gonna milk this. Like, I'm gonna be real with you guys, because so much work went into it, and we want to get the most out of it. We're still gonna be making a bunch more shorts and stuff coming up. But yeah, that's the film. Thanks for watching it with us. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions about it, like, feel free to reach out to either of us. Like, we'll be happy to. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about this for the rest of my career. And
I'll probably give you a cooler answer
probably.
than Tyler will.
Yeah, probably, because I'm lame. Anyway, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
See ya.